Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Before we get started with the show, I have a question for you. Are you a busy solopreneur struggling to find the time to consistently post to your social accounts? Well, the Scrivener Solutions team and I are introducing Scrivener Social, the easy-to-use social media scheduling platform paired with all of our workflows. It simplifies the entire posting process, saving you time and boosting your social media marketing efforts. Here's how it works. First, you subscribe to Scrivener Social, choosing the support level that best fits your needs. Second, we have onboarding calls to help you set up your account and give you the guidance for streamlining your posting process. Third, you implement your plan using our workflows to get more out of your social media marketing. Now, you could continue to do it alone, being frustrated and feeling guilty that you never get around to posting to your social accounts for your small business. Or you could save time, energy, and frustration by using an easy-to-use social scheduling platform backed by a support team that helps you streamline the whole process. You deserve a system that makes posting to your social media faster and more efficient. Go to scrivenersocial.com and subscribe today. Now, on to the show. Well, hi there and welcome. This is the show where we explore topics that help you create your lifestyle to live full and work fun. I'm Gayla Scrivener, joined here with my co-host, Fran Groesbeck. Hey, Fran.
Hey, Gayla.
Well, you know how at the very beginning of the year, we're all hyped up with all of our goals and, I guess usually at the beginning of the years when we do set our goals. It's all those New Year's resolutions, but it can happen any time of the year. You get into a goal with all of these lofty ideas of how things should be, and you're focused on that end result. And then what happens?
Life happens.
Life happens, and you get frustrated because you're not getting there fast enough. And then it's like this, there's so much going on that you reach this messy middle. And it's like you have all of these other paths, or it's not as organized as you want. You're not where you want to be. Have you ever felt that way?
All the time. And it's the messy middle has inspired what the new program that we're doing called Adapt and Flow. And I lived this with you, with a client we work on together. And we were doing a massive 5-year plan. And every time you work on the plan, you're thinking about where you want to be in 5 years, but you're still working. You're still doing the work to keep that client growing and alive. So there's this first part, which is a lot of people refer to that implementation, right? Like you're shifting gears and you're starting to move things into working towards those goals. And then you get in the messy middle because some of those things, you don't have the right system yet. You don't have the right people yet, maybe. There's something. And the messy middle is where, oh my gosh, these are all the things. This is reality. This is the challenges. Goals are often dreams and ideas, but the messy middle is what is really happening and what you have to truly address to get to that goal. And it often can make people pause or even stop because they think something's wrong. But actually, the messy middle is helping you get clarity. The messy middle helps you figure out what's important in getting that goal. And that's where everything begins to adapt and you flow with it. Instead of when an obstacle comes up, you panic or resist, you go, okay, what is this leading me to? And yeah, the messy middle is something I relate to very much.
Well, I think that when we start working toward that big goal and we start by trying to define what is it that we want and what are the smaller actions that we need to do to get there. And I think that sometimes we focus too much on that end goal and not in the here and now. But when we get going on thinking about the here and now, and we gain some clarity, for example, in my business, in working through launching Scrivener Social and how that fits in our whole business and my 5-year plan for that. And the words are coming and things are locking into place, but then other opportunities. So it's not necessarily obstacles that come your way, but when you are on the right path, then other opportunities that could stray you from your overreaching goal. Because I'm focused right now on social media management for small business owners to help streamline their workflows and have this tool and coaching paired together under Scrivener Social to do that. Well, I have this opportunity to pair with an email service, right? And that sounds amazing. I want to do that same thing because email is very, very important. And I was talking with this technology rep that could help me get to that place. But I said no. And it's still tugging at me. It's like, I really want to do that. That's a great opportunity. But the best thing is I started a relationship with that company so I can get things behind me with Scrivener Social because I'm still setting things up. It's still so new that I can't abandon what I'm doing with Scrivener Social to start this other thing. And I think that I in the past, I've done that. I see these opportunities. I get so inspired with so many great ideas, and I'm like a little butterfly sometimes. And I think entrepreneurs are like that. There are so many great ideas that come out of meetings and discussions and just walking or in the shower. You got all these great ideas, but to implement all of them is almost impossible. So prioritizing, what is that big goal? And does this great idea go toward that goal? And you have a fantastic philosophy on the now, next, and future. Could you lean into that?
Now, next, and future was implemented with my team first, because what happens is the butterfly you described happens with all projects and not just with ourselves, but it can happen in a project and you start to see, ooh, I could do this. Ooh, I could try this. Ooh, I want to make videos and I want to go on TikTok and I want to all these pieces, but you still need to do these core steps before you can get to those. So now, next, and future allowed my team to not feel shut down on their ideas because future became the dreams, the thoughts, the ideas. So future allowed me to capture those thoughts and ideas and dreams for these different projects to show I respected what they were coming to me with and that I wasn't shutting it down. And when I realized I could apply that to clients. Now, when I work with a client, I let them dream. I let them tell me everything. And then I organize it into now, next, and future. Now are the things that have to happen in order for next and future to be possible. Now and next have dates. Now and next are connected. If you don't finish A in now, you can't get to B in next. Future is meant for ideas that don't have a time, don't have a set deadline. And the great thing about putting them in that future spot, and shout out to Penny Rosema, who used to call something like that a parking lot. When every so often we go back and look at them with a client, I do it on every 6 months. Internally, we might check on it, every other month on a project. Sometimes those dreams turn into something different, or those ideas turn into something different. But by keeping them, it allows, and it has to do with brain science, by giving it a spot to be held, the brain releases, okay, I don't have to try to remember this. You've got this for me, and opens up space for the brain to work on something else. It's to do with memory retention. And what's great with the clients, it also, with the clients and internally, it allowed the people to feel heard. when they saw it getting documented in future, it was definitely a connection building thing. But starting with the now, that's how you get through the messy middle. And I believe I talked about this on another podcast, but I'll repeat it here. When you have a goal of, I heard this story once and it so resonated with me, of putting shelves up in your office. What's the first thing you have to do? What's the now step? A lot of people will say, well, you have to clear the wall off, or you have to measure the wall to see how big the shelf could be. All right. But what's the actual first step? Finding that measuring tape. Find the tape, and then you can get to B, which is measure the wall, which is then get to C, which is pick out the shelves. So now is, what is that first right next step? It could be anything. And whenever you take a step, even no matter how tiny, like finding a measuring tape, all of a sudden every step is being taken. You look back, all of a sudden you made it a mile. You didn't even know it. So that's what Now, Next, and Future is. It was inspired by creating a different environment in my company, which then led to creating an increased level of connection with my clients. And then it's now become our way for both my team and my clients to navigate through the messy middle. Now, Next, and Future gets you through that part.
Well, I want to refer to a book that I've been listening to on Audible, and it's called The Practicing Mind by Thomas Sterner. And I'll have the link in the show notes, but I'd listened to it a long time ago, and I'm re-listening to it just now, and it's reminded me that yes, we have these goals. He is a musician, and so with practicing, that's how you get to be. I mean, to be a phenomenal musician, you have to practice consistently, right? And do the fundamentals consistently to get to the playing the most complicated song, right? And he had some examples in there about he started, to learn golf. And he was like, I had no idea how to play golf, but he went into his practicing mind. He took golf lessons, and there were like 5 people with him. And the lesson, you learn something, and then you come back the next week. Well, what he would do, he's supposed to practice, right? So he would only practice that one swing or that part of the swing. And he would set aside an hour or so each evening or whatever and just did that, not looking at, I don't care if the ball goes anywhere or the right place. He was just practicing that technique, just that technique. Come back the next week. Of course, the instructor is going to say who practiced in the meantime, because we're going to go to the next step. So in that class, there were like 2 out of the class that did. And there were, he referred to this one lady that's like, I want to learn golf, and I just want it. I guess it's just going to magically happen. She take these 8 courses and learn the technique, but not actually practice the technique. You're never going to be happy with the results of being a good, golfer. So I thought that was a really good example. And that brings me back to you and I working with our mutual client when you first came into, and it had to do with increasing member engagement. And there were very few emails that were going to the membership. And together we devised a plan to increase that. It got to be an email a week to the members, and we have more to that. But we had this goal of increased engagement, increased membership, and value to the members. It started out pretty bleak, because there was not very much engagement. And then we started our emails. Quite frankly, I felt like it was messy. We both of us felt very hurried, didn't we? And it was like, what are we going to put in this email? And we were trying to structure it, but there was so much information coming in. How do we structure it? And it was like a lot of last minute changes and this, and then it's like, well, what if we have it this way? So there was that messy middle that we had. It was very hurried. I guess that's the right word. I don't know. I felt like we were just not as organized as we are now. Then over time, but we kept at it. It was that messy middle. We were just like all hands on deck. Let's do this. And then we got our system down and our templates down. We have increased engagement over time. But how long did that take to where we've got some great communication from the members? Not everybody's engaged, but when you have so many on the list, but the results of the email campaigns to the internal email campaigns to members have really significantly helped the membership. How long had that was taking us?
I'm going to say that took us about 12 to 18 months to work through. And you say that we just had a call yesterday and we saw 80% open rate.
Yeah.
On the two critical newsletters. In saying that, something else came to mind, which you and I believe in, and it's really important. And it's another P that goes along with practice, and that's process, right? So in the messy middle, and sometimes it can be very hard to do because you're so stressed out, all the things that you want to get done. But when you know that you're in the middle, start writing down the steps. For one of the things we do together for that client is event planning. And we started to write down, okay, if we want to make sure people know about the event, how do we work backwards in a communications plan? What are the steps and how we do this? And the first time around, that took us a while to build that. But now that's a template for every time we have an event. On our end, we have other parts to plan for that. And we took our time during that 12 to 18 months to write down the processes that we did to make sure. So next year when I do it, and I'm doing it alongside all the other tasks I have to do, I have this roadmap to just check off. And again, frees up the brain, less panic, less fear, because now I know I've got it. It's going to adapt next year. I'm sure something will be different, but 90 to 95% of it is there and done for me. And I know I can just go back to that process. So practice involves, I love that you said practice, because practice is one of those words that some people might think about music or sports or something of a physical nature. But practice is also mental. Practice is how you create a habit. Practice is if there's something you really like or resonate with or believe in, it's how it becomes a part of what you do. So all these things, whether it be now, next, and future, whether it be creating a good monthly social practice, it's all about putting that time in and doing it and changing the thoughts and changing the behaviors to get there. So I love that, because practice and process and patience and persistence, all those are great P words. The one word we have to get rid of as entrepreneurs is panic.
Agreed.
But
In the messy middle, though, you have that panic.
all the time.
And I recall in that time frame when it seemed a little frantic and maybe panicked, but there was frustration because it's like all of this work, it doesn't seem to be mattering. We don't have people opening these darn emails. Why? And over time, it's that messy middle that we have that panic moment, that what are we doing? Are our efforts even mattering? Right? And so we tend to want to give up and shift to do something else. We could have at that time shifted to do something else, but no, we knew that with persistence, we would see results. That's why in this messy middle time, you're going to be tugged so hard because you're going to say, this is not even working. I'm just going to give up. Stop. And that's when you should just not stop, but really reevaluate how you're practicing and pursuing?
Take a deload day.
A deload day, yes.
And I'll tell you, there's another thing that can happen when you get to the messy middle, which is you start to make destructive distractions or destructive decisions. And I think about the times when I'm in a project and I'm overwhelmed, or even on this path that I've been on in rebirthing, the new beginnings of 10 Touch. You know what you want to do, and you see the goal, and all of a sudden you think, if I go off in this direction, it's going to help. Or if I add this to my project, it's going to help. Or if I do this, it's going to get me there faster. When actually you're creating your own obstacles, because now you're putting more in the to-do list than is necessary. So that's where you have to be really careful. You have been great with that client when we went through that period of saying, Fran, those are great ideas, but not right now. And that's another thing, like, well, I would then put it in my future bucket. But it can be as simple as a decision as, do I really need to put an hour into this right now? Is there a simpler answer? And something just happened last night for me. Preparing for a trip, there's something I wanted to bring. I realized it's the old version. If I want to order it in time for the trip I'm taking, I'd have to pay overnight fees. I'm not even sure if it would get there. So I said, okay, what's the best right now? I only have so much time before this trip. I printed a label to change the spots on the thing I want to bring with me on this trip. So people understand it's not the copy, but it's a copy, and they'd be able to at least get an idea of what it is. Done. Off my list. Simple solution, not perfect, but it's part of the messy middle because I'm in transition and learning this new event that we're planning for. And done. Off my desk. Have something that I am proud that I will be okay. I did not settle. I'm good with what I'm going to show. I'm comfortable. I feel it's still professional, but I didn't make myself crazy and deviate, and some of these distractions can be costly. So not just in time, but in money. So and I was able to sleep better because did the solution and I moved on. And now next year in my process, I'm going to mark for 2 months before now to make sure I order the most recent version of that book that I want to take with me.
I love that. And I think what has, at least for me, is having that accountability sounding board partner that I found in you. For a long time, I did not have that, and it made the middle part harder, and I would stray and I would spin my wheels more. And I think I have gained more traction with having that type of coaching from you, and maybe vice versa, because we feed off of each other. And I think that more than ever, having being participating in a group, a round table, a cohort, a mastermind, or even personalized one-on-one coaching, to have that accountability, that does leapfrog you into getting, just keeping your head on straight and walking that path that you want to walk.
I agree 100% and send the love right back to you. I was thinking just this morning as I was getting ready to come to this call, how far I've come because of our friendship and because of the work together. Getting excited to hear your wins, seeing you excited for my wins, encouraging each other on the hard days when we're a little more fragile because so much is going on. Batteries are depleted, and encouraging each other to keep going. That accountability partner is so important, and the right one that lifts you up, doesn't act like a school teacher, or if something doesn't get done, is knocking you down or pushing you. It's about lifting each other up and finding that right accountability partner. And you practice together. We go through a lot of practices together. And just so people know, we're sharing all this, and on the outside, it may look like everything's, our businesses are solid and growing. We're always learning. We're always changing. I'm always practicing something new. We share books, like you mentioned the one before, and we keep looking for how do we grow? How do we do it a little bit better this time? If we're in a situation, we have the ability to make it better. So How can we do that? And that's why we share what we share. But yeah, having that partner, having someone that you look forward to, or for a few days we didn't get to talk, I think it was last week, and we're like, I'm going through withdrawal.
It's true. It's true. And I participate in group roundtables, and so you get something and it holds you accountable first for attending and then just being there and getting perspective and grounded and helping you move forward and work through. Don't give up. Don't give up. Go for that goal. Now, everybody, I'm so glad that you're listening today. And are you going through a messy middle? We would love for you to hop over to our Facebook group, Live Full Work Fun Facebook group, and tell us what your biggest takeaway from today's show was. Where are you in your goal reaching journey? We'd love to hear from you. So, do you have any last words, Miss Fran?
Just keep going. If you're in a messy middle, keep going and trust the tug. Gayla, at the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned the word tug. The tug is your knowing. Trust it. And no matter how messy it gets, believe in yourself enough that you can get through it.
I love that. Well, thanks again for listening. Until next time, have a fantastic week. Live full, work fun. This episode has been brought to you by Scrivener Social, the easy-to-use social scheduling platform built for the busy solopreneur. You deserve a system that makes posting to your social media faster and more efficient. Go to scrivenersocial.com and subscribe today.